Aaron Cilia from Spriggan Mist. You're watching episode 2 of Spriggan Mist TV, a Ghostly Tales special.
I am Diane Narraway and you are watching Spriggan Mist TV.
Grab a pot and grab a pan, let's go tin can the man. For Lady Emily if you can, let's go tin can the man.
It's 140 years to the day that the good people of Warfield marched on Warfield Park to protest against Lord Ormthwaite's treatment of his wife, Lady Emily. This is where we believe that they've started the procession from, the plough and harrow. There are other conflicting stories saying they started at the boot, but this to us makes more sense. I wrote the song Tin Can the Man about this procession 140 years ago. 140 years ago, Forest Road wouldn't have been as busy as it is today. It would have been pretty much a smaller track. Now it's a through road from Winkfield through to Bracknell, and it's quite busy. It was a form of protest in Victorian times where people would take to the streets, and if they found something that displeased them, they would get pots and pans or anything else that made a noise and literally bang them. And it was called tin canning, which is where the name Tin Can the Man came from. Just off Forest Road was a big mansion called Warfield Park, which sadly isn't there today. Now 140 years ago, Lord Ormthwaite lived there with his wife Lady Emily, and he supposedly used to mistreat her quite badly, and the good people of Warfield village went out and did precisely that, tin canned the man. Warfield Park is now a thriving housing estate, and the events of 140 years ago may well be long forgotten. However, as you can see from the street names, not completely forgotten. And Lady Emily was certainly not forgotten. Set off. If you look hard enough, there are some other little reminders that Warfield Park, Lord Ormthwaite and Lady Emily actually existed around these parts. And these chestnut trees were actually planted by Lady Emily all those years ago, and people are still picking them and eating them. Tucked away, right in the heart of these chestnut trees, is this door. And this is where the ice house for Warfield Park would have been situated. A lot of people that live around here don't even know it exists. Now we're not quite sure what effect this had on Lord Ormthwaite. However, it has been imprinted in local folklore, because it is said that if you listen very carefully on today, the 28th of October, you will hear the sound of tin canning and people shouting. Now at the moment it's still light and it doesn't look that very ghostly, but if we look at it in night time, now that's better. Forest Road, and it's dark, and Max, Anne-Marie, Annalise and Brianna have disappeared, which is a bit unnerving. We haven't heard any pots and pans rattling. but it has taken a whole different feel about it, the area. We'll try and find the girls and sit and listen and see if we can hear any pots and pans, anybody cheering, and we'll report back. So we've sat for about 10 minutes, 15 minutes in the quiet up here at the Chestnuts. What did we see?
Well, there was an old guy.
Got to speak up a little bit.
There was an old guy who was sitting between the trees with some kind of sack on his back, kind of waiting. Patient, no issues, very, very still.
The interesting thing about that is you called me over and said, what do you see there? And I could see sort of like a haze. And I said, it's somebody with something on their back. I thought that was an old guy. And I think, Aaron, you saw that as well, didn't you?
Yeah. Aaron had already described exactly what I saw.
Yeah.
Which was an old man.
That was interesting.
Possibly.
Yeah. Very quiet. Very quiet, very still.
Exactly what they would have been.
Yeah. Now you saw something down there, Brianna, didn't you?
There was like a really big misty haze that I kept noticing, and I thought it looked like a set of like tents, but when I looked at it clearer, it looked like a big marquee or something. And then Mum pointed out that it might be a picnic shelter that Lady Emily might have used.
You saw that as well, didn't you, Emily?
I can certainly see all the uplifts and then some of it.
Yeah, so I thought it would have been somebody with easels and painting and all that, but I wasn't sure, but it certainly was. It's still there, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's very quite distinct. The other thing I picked up was I saw just down here, I saw something just fleet by. I wasn't sure it was an animal or something. And then all I kept getting in my head was a girl spinning round, dancing in the grass. I don't know why, that's just what I had in my head. So
I saw you kept looking over there actually.
But all in all, we didn't hear any tin canning.
We did not hear any tin canning.
You're watching Spriggan Mist TV.
But now, here's a little bit of Cliff Carr singing from under a tree at Tribal Dreams in the summer.
Hi, I'm Cliff Carr. I'm here at the Tribal Dreams in Somerset. Sun is shining. I like to just play this song, Warm from the Sun. Thank you. Harvest time, harvest and the feast combine. Turn the wheel, another season's done, but it's still warm, warm from the sun. Shear the sheep and wean the lambs, invoke the energies from above and around. A feast of fire, a thanks and a joy, for it's still warm, warm from the sun. Distant rumbles from afar, the warm summer still aglow, or it's still warm, warm from the sun. And lose a deity from the past, an age-old memory of Gaelic clans. Tell the hill where it began, and it's still warm, warm from the sun. Honour his mother, an adopted one, her labour exhausted, her end sadly come, but her love shines on, for her heart is warm, warm like the sun. Thank you. Hi, I'm Cliff Carr and you're watching Spriggan Mist TV. Rock on.
Right, here we are at the Fox and Hounds at the Ghostly Tales, the last Ghostly Tales of 2014, and I'm going to speak to our newest member of the band, Spike Stockdale. Spike, you've been with us now about 5 months.
5 months?
Yeah.
Is it 5 months?
How are you finding Spriggan Mist?
Well, I put the sat nav on and then sort of come out of the house and generally get lost.
Okay.
And then somehow
you end up in there and play with a great bunch of musicians.
Great bunch of musicians.
And then you realise it isn't Spriggan Mist.
And then I have to go somewhere else. Yeah.
So where have you come from? Where have you been? I mean, you've been playing music since
forever. Really.
So what other gigs have you had?
What other gigs have I had? Well, loads. I mean, back in the day, I used to play with used to do session work, so I used to play with a lot of people back then.
Go on, name drop.
Nick Kershaw.
Yeah.
Did actually once back Shirley Bassey, which respect, rock and roll.
That is rock and roll.
So I mean, all kinds of people that used to do a lot of stuff with Capital Radio as well. So lots of different people.
So you were actually a session player. So you'd be called up and say, Spike, you just come down, and you would just play that piece there and then.
Yeah.
How do you find that different from being in a band? I mean, obviously it's work, it's money.
It's money.
But what about the satisfaction in that?
It's a different sort of satisfaction. Being part of a band where you're helping to grow something, helping to create something, actually being on a journey with them is one type of thing, and that's great. But going on to a session and somebody kind of says, basically, we've got a bit of a problem. We don't know what to do with this, or we need somebody who can play that. We don't have much time. And you go and you sort it out and you're gone. Yeah. That's a different type of satisfaction. Do you know what I mean? I mean, it's nice to be able to be a bit of a Swiss Army knife.
So, do you ever you sat down at home, you listen to a song come on the radio, and think, oh, that's me?
It has happened.
It has happened.
It doesn't happen that much, but yeah, it's happened.
Okay, so obviously, when we were looking for a guitarist, we put this advert out, and I saw, Spike Stockdale, and I applied. What made you decide, I'm going to take a look at the Spriggan Mist?
I've got really 3 things I always think about. I think about how good is the material, and it could be covers, it doesn't have to be original, but if the material's good, then it's worth it. Yeah. Is the band good, or has it got potential?
Yeah.
So are they good players? Can they do what they need to do? And other people, okay. Do you know what I mean? And actually, it's funny how often it's hard to get a great answer to all those questions.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So the first thing that struck me when I was Spriggan was the songs. Actually, I think Max has got a really great ear for tunes, and it's a really interesting, strange kind of fusion between kind of, the rock stuff and folk stuff, kind of overlaid with pagan kind of imagery.
But it's not your usual stuff, is it?
No, it isn't, but that's what I like.
Yeah.
I spent last year working with quite a few bands who were doing a lot of kind of more kind of mainstream rock, and if I hear another band trying to be another kind of Foo Fighters light, you know what I mean? I'll just go mad.
Yeah.
So when you guys came along, it was something completely different, and kind of AC/DC doing Triddly D. It's just but it's just a great sound. It's a very different type of thing.
And what about the circuit we move on? I mean, I know you haven't done the full year with us, but obviously, we are a pagan band, and I know we play other places, and I suppose our beliefs don't make a difference to what we do. But obviously, we do go around in pagan circles. How have you found that?
Interesting. I mean, it's kind of whatever gets you through the night.
Yeah.
To quote Mr. Lennon, but. Yeah, no, it's. I mean, I kind of find life interesting and colourful.
Yeah.
I don't want to live a monochrome, dull life.
Sure.
So, seeing, which it is.
You're not going to with Spriggan Mist playing to pirates, fairies, Buddhists.
I think it's the second gig I did with you guys. It was one of those brilliant moments, but halfway through a gig, it wasn't the sort of, is there a witch in the house?
Yeah.
And the answer came from the back, yes. This is a whole different thing, but it is great. I mean, it's interesting, it's different, it's colourful.
I think one thing
the animal sacrifice.
Then maybe not so much. Only on Tuesdays. One of the things that I think you have brought to the band is a degree of professionalism because obviously you're a professional musician, that's what you do for a living, and a degree of professionalism, especially approach to recording. Now we're about to record Myths and Legends next week. Starting next week, and you're producing that for us. And it's quite a tight time scale as well, because we've
got a lot of material.
But I think that's one of the things you've brought through. How do you see Myths and Legends developing differently from other things you've done, apart from the short time scale?
What other things that I've done?
Yeah.
Well, again, it comes back to what we were just talking about. I mean, this kind of interesting fusion of kind of rock and a band with recorders in it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I mean, that's not a sound you hear that often.
Yeah, sure.
So I think it's going to be about getting the balance of that and crafting the songs.
Yeah, because I know you're quite excited to work with the recorders.
You know what, I am, because
it's not knowing where I'm the thing to do.
No. I mean, putting a heavy rock guitar alongside a recorder is not the sort of thing that I would ever have done before. So that's good fun.
Okay, so before we go, because I hear that Rick stopped, so we're probably going to be starting now. What do you want to say to all the Spriggan Mist fans out there that are watching Spriggan Mist TV?
When's the new album come out?
4th of April 2015.
4th of April. Put it in your diary.
Thanks, Mike. Let's go on and do it.
You're watching Spriggan Mist TV.
The bells stop ringing day and night. The local clergy began to pray, convinced of her powers and casting her spells, she could root people to the spot. Rumor had it she detected a thief and made him return his lot. She lived in a hovel called the Three-Cornered Hat, living as a chimney sweep on Tinker's Corner with a magical broom. To herself she did keep She lived in a hovel called the Three-Cornered House, living as a chimney sweep on Tinker's Corner, with a magical broom to herself she did keep. With the help of a magician, a local man, hunted with mystical powers, the bell was recovered and put back in place, back into the church tower. There was a spell to
A new steel chain, pulled by 12 snow-white heifers. Maidens all dressed in white. A ceremony for the whole village to prepare, to be performed at midnight, but most important, to be conducted in absolute silence.
Came back with one, you left with two. Selena, what happened? What did you do? Made you a false promise, laid down his gun. Selena, what happened? What have you done? He was only 2, lame from birth. He deserved more time on this earth. Was he too much baggage? Your life on hold, life on your own, without a man to hold.